it's Emma, and I'm deciding to put my life online. Now, today I wanted to talk to you about something that's a little bit not so cheerful, it's a little bit upsetting, and it's something that's personally hits pretty close to home. It's about mid-January now when I'm posting this video, and that's when students start to get letters back, or emails back in this case, from med schools that they're not getting an interview. And this is sort of the first step, or the first stage of disappointment that a lot of students have to go through. So I thought I'd talk to you guys about that this week, tell a little bit about my own story, and tell you what you can do next so that you don't feel so down, so that you know you've got some steps forwards, and that you can still keep working towards your dreams. So if you're interested in that kind of video, then keep on watching. So to give you a little bit of background, just so we've got some context here, I did my Bachelor of Science in Ontario, and I only have experience applying to Ontario medical schools. I finished my Bachelor of Science actually just this past summer, but I did apply at the end of my third year, beginning of my fourth year. And so in Ontario, those applications are due usually around October, so they're due in first semester, and then you find out at the beginning of your second semester. And I didn't get an interview for any of the schools that I applied to. Going into the process, I kind of knew that that was going to be the outcome, and I had already sort of started to accept it, but of course it's still disappointing. I knew that when I started, I didn't have the most competitive application, and I understood that this round of applications might be a little bit more of like a practice. So I could understand the process and sort of see what I could expect using everything online and the time that it would take to prepare my applications, so that in the next year, after I graduated, maybe it would be a little bit better. So here I was, sitting in January of my fourth year. I had another semester left to complete, and I didn't get any interviews. So I didn't know what I was doing next, so I had to adapt. I had to come up with my plan B, which I really should have thought of ahead of time. I had to let myself be a little bit sad, because of course you need to process that, and you need to feel disappointed. It's okay. And I had to move forward. I had to act on my plan B, and I had to keep kicking butt in my fourth year to try to make my application more competitive, and to see what I could do in the next year. So now I'm just going to talk to you guys a little bit about the things that I think you should do when you find out that you don't get an interview, or later if you find out that you didn't get a spot. I mean, it happens at different times of year, but the attitude change and everything that you approach is exactly the same. So let's keep going. The first thing that I think is so important is to let yourself be disappointed. Yeah, it sucks. And I'm sure if you're going through the process with a friend and they got a similar email, then you two can talk about it together. It's really hard because you do have another semester of school, and you are still working, and you still have to stay motivated for that. But I find if you try to just brush it off, like, oh no, it's no big deal, I'll get in next year, I'll try again next year, and you don't actually feel that disappointment, then that's going to be so much harder later. It's going to come back at a point when you're stressed about a midterm, or you're stressed about a lab that you have to do, and it's all just going to come bearing down on you. So take some time, take an afternoon just to be sad. It's still the beginning of semester, so I'm sure you can find some time where you could sacrifice a little bit and just be a little mopey. Be a little upset, call someone you love, talk to someone that also is going through the process. But it's okay to be sad, and you should be sad because it's something that meant a lot to you. After that, I think it's time to think about your plan B. So I didn't have one. After I had applied, I kind of brushed it aside because I didn't really want to address the fact that I likely wasn't going to get in. So that meant I had the frantic search, because if you're looking for a grad program, the applications are probably due in February, maybe March if you're lucky. And if you're looking for a research-based program, then you're going to have a conversation with supervisors, and there's already people that have started that process. Not to say that you can't get into your plan B if you haven't already thought about your plan B, but really start to think about what you want to do next year. Do you want to take a year off and work and save money? Totally fine. You could also spend some more time volunteering. Do you want to stay in school, and if so, how and to what capacity? While you're thinking about what you want to do next year, it's also important to look at and reevaluate your application. It's time to look at why you might not have gotten in. Was it that your GPA wasn't the best, and how can you improve that? I mean, even in your last semester, there's always improvement that could be made. Do you not have a lot of extracurriculars or really any unique volunteer experiences? Maybe you can build that into your next year while you wait for another round of applications. Were your reference letters not the best? Maybe you can find a way in the next year to build a deeper relationship with someone who can give you a better recommendation. There's a lot of things that you can do and a lot of moving parts to look at in your application, but try to find some places that you know you can improve and you can make a plan to improve upon them in the next year. I know probably the worst part about the medical school application, especially in Ontario, is all the question marks. You know there's a minimum GPA, but you don't know what the actual sort of competitive GPA is. You know that maybe for Ottawa and McMaster you have to take a Casper test, but you don't know if you did well, what they're looking for, or what that means. Try to dig up as much information as you can, and I'm sure you already have. Try to find some more, and really try to evaluate your application to see where you can improve and how you can do even a little bit better, so that the next year when you're applying, you can feel a little bit more confident that you're going to be able to at least get an interview. And now that you're a little bit sad because you've let yourself feel that way, and you're a little bit scared because you've been evaluating what you want to do next year, and you've been evaluating why you didn't get in this year, it's time to re-energize yourself. Remind yourself why you want to do this. Why did you apply for med school in the first place? What about being a doctor really inspires you and really kicks your butt into gear? For me, I think the best thing that I did was I continued my volunteer position at the local hospital, and while I was sad that I didn't get in, and while I was having to tell people no, I didn't get an interview, I was still able to get that patient interaction and still see doctors working every week and see and be inspired by what I saw as the career that I still really, really wanted. And that really helped me reconnect with those feelings as to why I was doing this and why I wanted to work hard to become a doctor, and why it's okay that I have to apply again, because I will apply again. And I will keep applying until I succeed and get into the medical school that I want to, and then I can kick butt there and eventually be a doctor. So whether it's that experience that you're looking for, try to find that connection that you can. If it's an old memory that really inspired you, talk to someone about it. Tell people why you wanted, what's that fire in your belly, and hold on to that, because that's going to push you through these next stressful few months of admitting defeats, reevaluating, and reactivating a new plan and creating a plan B. I know it feels a little hopeless right now, but it's going to be okay. I mean, I personally stumbled sort of upon my plan B. I'm doing a master's of public health right now, and I'm really liking it. It's showing me another aspect of health, and it's keeping me inspired that I want to work with people to better improve their health. So I'll have another degree when I apply again, and maybe that will help. Maybe the year off will just help me mentally, and I'll be more prepared when I do get into medical school. You never know. It seems scary, and it seems so disheartening right now, but really it's going to be okay, and I hope some of this information helped. I'll try to link to maybe some things below that helped me when I was disappointed and helped me with my application. But I just want you to know, from someone who also didn't get an interview, that it's going to be okay, and you're going to end up right where you need to. And if you keep pushing, I know I'm saying that without really being in medical school, so I have no proof, but if you keep pushing, you're going to get there, and we can do this together. So I'll see you next week. Good luck.